to whom much is given, much is tested. Because money only amplifies who you already were. God forgive me, God forgive me. I personally think development is the best vehicle. The greatest successor of success is success. Came up with a concept to build a city, was able to raise $2 million on that property. Mind you, I only put in $50,000. Now, as we speak, currently, the property is worth $7.4 million. You can get rich quick. You can get rich by accident, but you can't get wealthy by accident. You can't get wealthy quick. The individual has to be worth blessing. Stocks is a vehicle to preserve wealth, and I believe real estate is a vehicle to make wealth.
That's so interesting because people usually say the opposite.
No, because
I hope you guys are excited to get into this episode. Don't forget, if you would like to purchase an investment property in Dubai, make sure to fill out the form below and book a free consultation with me. Welcome to the Building Wealth with No Borders podcast with me, Lamide Elizabeth, where I'll be bringing you guests from around the world to share their strategies on building wealth. And today we are in Atlanta with luxury real estate developer who has over 120 units currently in development across Canada, and here in Atlanta, David Twii. Welcome to the podcast. That was a good pronunciation, right?
Yeah, David Twii. You're pronouncing it like a real African Twii. Yeah, thank you. People say Twii, and I like it Twii because it kind of westernizes it a little bit.
You like the westernization?
I don't mind it. Yeah.
Instead of how it's actually pronounced but. Anyways, let's not go off topic. I was going to say, why is your name the name of the language?
Because that's actually a part of my middle name, which is Twii.
Ah.
Yeah, so I took the last 3 letters and I just added another I to make it a little more interesting, balancing it out a bit.
Okay.
And then, Twii. And then I ran with it, Twii Estate. It had a ring to it. I did this 13 years ago and it just stuck and people liked it. And I used to hashtag it and people enjoyed it. So anytime you see anybody with estate in their name currently, just know that I was the first person to do this.
What, Twii Estate?
Yeah. To have like an identity with the name estate attached to it.
Okay.
All right. Just so we know, just to clear up, there's a lot of people that say they do this, but I do this.
You did it first.
I do it first. I do it well. I do it the best. You understand?
On that note, can you please introduce yourself for the listeners?
All right. So I'm David Twii, and I am a luxury real estate developer and a high density developer. I've been doing this in development specifically for about 6 years. I've been in real estate as a whole for about 13 years. I'm a father. I'm a very faith-oriented person. I'm a believer. I believe the success that I've been able to amass is not by my strength alone. It's definitely by the grace of God. The fact that I'm sitting here with you, these are all divine moments. And I also want to give you your flowers because you built such an amazing platform yourself. And, I had a chance to check it out and I'm like, okay, this is amazing. And proud of you. And that's kind of who I am. I think I'm just a grateful person, grateful to be in the position that I'm at, right? I like Kanye West before all the madness, right? And he has a saying, to whom much is given, much is tested, right?
Isn't that from the Bible?
I don't know, is it?
I think so.
Oh man, I gave the credit to Kanye. Oh man, God forgive me, God forgive me. And but whoever said it, hopefully it was in the Bible. But it's like that's how I feel. I feel like pressure is a privilege, and we're always constantly tested in life. And I feel like your ability to handle that pressure, to handle that stress, is a testament to your relationship with God, and the better you are to handle those things, the better the increase, better the return in life. So it's kind of who I am in a nutshell.
That's good. Can you give us a little bit of an insight on how you came to be the person you are now? So what was your journey, I guess, into real estate growing up?
Yeah, so interesting enough. So I would say I was obsessed with real estate before I even, was able to, partake in the whole getting my license thing. When I was young, about 12, 13 years old, we were looking for a house at the time. So at this time, I'd already been obsessed with real estate. And there used to be these sales centers, like I was mentioning to you off camera. There used to be sales centers, and we used to buy properties off plan. That was like a big common concept because where I'm from is a very young country. So things were being developed as
Which country?
I'm from Canada, right? So I'm from Toronto. And things were being developed like as I was aging, right? I'm seeing houses getting built. I'm seeing buildings get built. Like the city was being built right before my eyes. And I was obsessed with it, right? So we didn't have much. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 people in my family. So you can imagine it was tight, right? And, money was tight. Everything was tight, figuratively and literally. So I always saw these things. I always wanted them. I always dreamt about it. I always wanted my own room, right? So my mom would take me to these sales centers after church. And we spent a lot of time at church. If you know anything about an African church, like that shit does not end until
can't say shit to church.
Oh, I'm so sorry. that stuff does not end until the preacher says it's time to go home, right? So we'd go home after church, and I'd make my mom pass these little sales centers where you could pick up pamphlets and like all the floor plans, et cetera. And I'd go home and I would draw them. Like those became my comic books. That was how I enjoyed myself, right? We didn't have flat screen TVs and all these things back then. So we had one TV in the house, and we'd leave church and come back home, and my dad would put church back on TV, and then I'd just be stuck at a dining table. My sister's on the computer with a dial-up internet. There's one computer, there's one TV, and I'm just stuck at this table with all these pamphlets. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna make the best of it. So growing up, all I wanted to do was be an architect. So I've always wanted to be in this real estate space in whatever capacity. I'm big on design. That's why I'm fly. It's just a part of who I am, right? Okay. And now, by God's grace, it's all come full circle. Now doing developments, I have a literal hand in how things come off or how things are aesthetically presented. So I'm still designing just in a larger capacity and just not officially an architect, right? Just
so
a
why
person
did you
with vision.
Study economics instead of architecture?
Can I be frank with you? I don't even know who Frank is, but we always say that, right? Can I be frank with you?
Oh.
Who is Frank, right? He must have been an honest person. That's what I get from it.
But what if the definition of Frank is not, what if Frank has its own definition?
Maybe it does.
Or maybe it's Frank.
Do you know it?
No, I don't know.
So then it must be a person. We're going to leave it at that. It's a guy. So
okay, let's go with that.
Frank was an honest person. So if I can be frank with you, I didn't even know what economics was going into university. I didn't know what it was. But I had a boy that was taking it, and then my dad used to talk about it, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to just go for it because I was good with numbers, and I knew that, it combined, theory with like a numerical aspect to it. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I just did it. I got in, and because I originally wanted to go for architecture and didn't work out, so I did economics. And I stuck with it. I'm like, yo, this is interesting. Like, I like the practicality of, the premise of economics, right? Supply and demand and finding equilibriums in markets and that sort of thing. So I ended up enjoying it. And then, I stuck with it.
So where did you go to uni, by the way? Was it Canada or US?
I went to school in Canada, Carleton University in Ottawa, the nation's capital.
Okay. So then when did you decide, so you didn't study architecture, you did econ. When did you decide that you was going to keep on with your love for real estate?
Yeah, so my brother had actually mentioned to me, like, hey, like, yo, while I was in school, why don't you take this real estate course? Like, you love real estate, et cetera. And I'm like, you know what, you're probably right. So while I was in school, I'd be on campus studying for my real estate exams over my university exams. That was what was more important to me. Like, that's how deep my passion was. And, at this time in my life too, I'll subscribe to a lot of newsletters from other brokerages. Like I mentioned, my city was built right before my eyes. So everything was about off-plan opportunities, right? And, I used to subscribe to all the news of these off-plan opportunities, buy with $5,000 down, buy with $10,000 down, which didn't seem like a lot of money to me at the time. And, but I still didn't have a ton of it. But that was where my mind was at. It was just this obsession with real estate, and like the university stuff was just an afterthought. So by the time I had graduated from university, I'd already been a licensed realtor and I'd already started working.
Okay. So you graduated university, went straight into being a realtor.
Yeah, I graduated university already being a realtor.
But you was already a realtor?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you start selling when you was at uni as well?
I was already selling. I already started selling.
Really?
Yeah.
Were there other people like you doing that?
There's nobody like me. I'm just joking.
You're not joking. Okay. One of the questions I want to ask you to open up this conversation, I really want to, because we do talk a lot about real estate on the podcast, but I really want to take it in a different direction and also dive deeper into like numbers, breakdown.
Sure.
Analytics, because we all know what the obvious things that people say about real estate. But anyways, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, how do you compare investing in real estate versus investing in stocks? Because we usually have a very stock forward person or we have a very real estate forward person. But if someone was trying to weigh up, okay, I've got, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, what's better?
Let's give them 50,000.
50,000.
Let's give them 50.
Okay.
We'll give them 10 more.
Okay.
So the reason why, I'm obviously biased to a certain extent, right?
Yes.
But I'm also a very realistic person. So stocks have amazing advantages, right? We've seen a lot of volatility in the market recently where, people have great swings, had great opportunity to make money. But what I feel about stocks is like, stocks is a vehicle to preserve wealth. And I believe real estate is a vehicle to make wealth.
That's so interesting because people usually say the opposite.
No, because now when you think about it intuitively, right? Like you're betting on the competency of somebody you don't even know, of a figure that, is this mystic figure that you've idolized, right? These CEOs and these board of directors, et cetera, like the fate of that stock is not in your hands. You have no control. Whereas in real estate, you have the ability to force appreciation. You have the ability to take a structure, you have the ability to take a piece of land and create value in that piece of land, right? Whereas in stock, you don't have no control whether that stock goes up, down 7%, up 8%, up 12%. Your little 50 grand is not gonna sway the market. It's controlled by all these bigger conglomerates and all these things that we're not even privy to those conversations, right? So now let's break it down numerically, right? So if you have $50,000 of stock, okay? Let's say you had a phenomenal year in your portfolio and you made 20% return on that $50,000. That's $10,000 you would have made for that 12-month calendar year, right? Even let's say for 2 years, now that you have 60 grand and it compounds, now you make another 20%, you made 12 grand, so now you have $72,000 after 2 years, right? From that $50,000 investment. In real estate, $50,000 allows you to control, even on a modest level, a $300,000 to $400,000 asset on a modest level. Remember what I told you about the FHA loan and how you can put up to 3.5% down right on an FHA loan. So imagine 3.5% on $1 million crib, that's $35,000. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine being able, I won't even use $1 million as an example. So imagine being able to control a $300,000 to $400,000, let's say $400,000, a $400,000 asset with that $50,000. Now, if you're making increase on that $400,000 asset, you're already starting the race up here, right? So even if that asset goes up 10% a year, right? You've made 40 grand on that $400,000 asset from your 50,000. But you over here with the stock, you've only made 10 grand off that 50,000. You can only make money on a stock. You can only make a return on your investment in a stock based on how much you put into the stock. I can make a return on an investment on real estate based on how valuable the property is, not how valuable my contribution is, how valuable the property is, right? And now being in, in the US and understanding the US market, $50,000 can go very far, especially in the realms of development, right? You can acquire land for less than $50,000.
Really?
Right, you can acquire land for less than $50,000. You can take a house from being vacant land to being a structure with around $50,000 and probably gross anywhere from like $100,000 to $150,000. Whereas if you bought stock, once again, you'd only make $10,000 on a 20% year with your stock, right? So being able to control such a robust and a vibrant asset is way more valuable. And it's like, you think about, there's no accident, right? I don't believe in accidents. I believe everything happens for a reason. There's no accident why real estate has the word real in it. There's no accident why the foundation of a property is, the foundation is, such an important part of a property, and it's such an important part of life. Your foundation in life. What are you rooted in? Like all these things, all these puns, all these, metaphors, like they're not by accident. Like these are real things that I believe that people should have their investment portfolio rooted in. Like the foundation, no pun intended, of your investment portfolio should be real estate, because the leverage is different. Like you can now leverage your real estate to now go buy more real estate. You can leverage your real estate to help get a loan for your child to go to school. You can leverage your real estate to go get a loan to buy a car. You can leverage your real estate in times of emergency to go and, I don't know, deal with a family member that's ill. Like where can you do that? You know what I mean? And with stocks and the volatility, like nothing's promised, nothing's for certain, right? But one thing we know about at least real estate, it has a positive trajectory over the long run, right? And knowing that, okay, my capital's there and I could tap into it, and my capital is growing, and my debt is reducing because I'm paying the mortgage. So now I'm creating spread, right? Your debt is reducing, and now the equity is increasing because the property value is going up. So now you're just creating this massive margin that you don't get with stocks. You just don't get it. Stocks, if you have $500,000, $1 million, go throw it in some stocks. You're getting a free $200,000 a year, $250,000 a year. You're laughing. That's going to take care of your living expenses. You're good, right? But if you have 10 grand, 15, 50 grand, like stocks is not going to change your life. You're going to be forced to take a lot of gambles. I have friends that they trade stocks and they options and stuff. I have people that trade options that do extremely well. And I have people that trade options that struggle. And I have people that swings trade that do well, and I have people that swings trade that don't do well. And it's like you're spending all this effort trying to multiply your money, and it's counterproductive. You're spending time to multiply your money, where in real estate, you don't necessarily even have to spend time. You can buy something and just leave it alone and let it sit, and then let someone occupy it. It's going to go up in value, right? People are here, oh shit, I got to come out of this, got to come out of NVIDIA, I got to go back into Tesla, I got to, you got to do all these things. And then it averages out. It's like, okay, I only made, 1.5% for the day. It's like, okay, my day is over. You made like $600 and like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. But they're both important vehicles. I want to make sure I stress that they're both important vehicles. But me personally, because I've seen it, and I've seen more examples like me than other people that started with stocks and made it. Funny thing is, with real estate, there are receipts. It's real. Once again, the same realness, the same authenticity, it stands true. It's in the name, and it's in how you can present the information. Like I can't tell you I went and did this, and then you go look up the deed and you don't see my company's name, you don't see my LLC. With stocks, everybody's a guru. Everybody's like, hey, I grew my trade account from 100,000 to 2 million, and you just send screenshots. And we live in an AI era. We live in a Photoshop era. How you telling me that stuff's real? Everybody's a guru. Oh, I'm 17 years old and I did all these stocks and I got a Lambo now. Like everybody can do that, but nobody can say. No one can say with real authenticity, like, oh, like I did all this in real estate, and like, and you can't call that person out on it. You know what I'm saying? You can't call these people out on these things, because everybody looks the same. Everybody drives fancy cars, and everybody shows their screen and there's charts, and like, it's just so fickle. It's just not real. It's just not a real world. You know what I mean? I live in a real world of bricks and mortar and foundation and cement and like trades and relationships and framing and wood and like, you know what I mean? I live in a real world with real things, tangible things that people need. We're sitting in a structure right now. Somebody built the structure. Someone's name is on it. Someone bought the structure. Someone owns it. It's real. I don't live in this like virtual world. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of pros to what you're saying. And I think one of the things I can definitely agree on is real estate is one of the very few asset classes where you can put down a little and borrow a lot, which is basically what you're saying with leverage. And I think that is a massive game changer. And I agree. I think the way you contextualize it in the sense of like, yeah, you can put down 50K, but then be dealing with an asset that is worth hundreds of thousands is definitely true, because that definitely does affect your upside. But you made this example of like putting down 50K to get land and developing it and potentially making 100, 150K.
I'll give you a real life example.
That's what I was going to ask you for.
I'll give you a real life example. No cap. I don't bullshit I don't. Edit that out.
You can say if you want
No, don't worry. I'll give you a real life example. No cap in my rap. If I'm lying, I'm dying. So as my boy Nines would say, So there was a neighborhood in just outside Niagara Falls in Ontario, where I'm from. Now, I'm not from there, but in country I'm from.
Okay.
And there was this parcel of land, this huge vacant piece of land, right? It's farmland. And there was all these houses that surrounded it. So I knocked at the doors of every single house. I told the story at InvestFest. I knocked the doors of every single house in that area, in that vicinity, to find out if those people either wanted to sell their house or if they knew who owned that big piece of land, right? So something about development is cities have this thing called an official plan. They have this thing called a secondary plan, right? So this is the city saying these are our plans for the next foreseeable future, right? And the secondary plan is like, these are now additional options that we may consider for the future, right? So me being a very studious person, I studied those plans, right? I study them and then I interpret them saying, okay, wait a second. In this area, you guys want to see high density residential. You want to see this place develop. So if I'm living in a house and I've been living there for 20 years, I don't necessarily know what the city, I'm not paying attention to what the city wants to do in my area. I'm just living. I'm going to school, I'm going to home, going to work, going to hockey, cottage, whatever. I'm just living, right? But me being a person that's always seeking opportunity, I was studying these maps and I was saying, okay, wait a second. Based on what I'm seeing here in this region, the city wants to see development, okay? And so now I went there and I'm hungry. I'm on the ground. It's freezing. I have my winter toucan, my parka, everything, I'm freezing and I'm knocking every door. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm just wondering, have you ever thought about selling your house, et cetera, And I finally figured out who owned that property that was behind it, right? And I actually found one of these houses that someone was willing to sell. And I bought the house and, I created an entrance there. And so for that big piece of land, right? The seller wanted $3.4 million. I said, all right, cool. I'll give you the $3.4 million, but I need time, okay? I never had $3.4 million to give him. But I was so determined that I knew, okay, if I can lock this up, I know this is gold that I'm sitting on, right? Because nobody saw what I saw, right? It's a vision thing, right? What does the Bible say? Like a nation will perish for lack of vision.
Come on,
right?
Pastor.
Come on, that's what I do. And so it was a vision thing. I saw the vision. I knew what the city wanted there. So the gentleman said he wanted $3.4 million. I said, no problem. I'll give you the $3.4 million. Give me 18 months. All right. So I put $50,000 down. And how much is the asset that I controlled? $3.4 million was the asset that I controlled.
You put 50 down.
Put $50,000 down. I said, here's the $50,000. Give me some time.
Okay.
Give me some time. I pushed the closing out 18 months. And then I had a long due diligence period. So when you buy land and you're buying commercial real estate, you have a due diligence, you have a right to due diligence. And it's all subjective to what you negotiate, right? And I go negotiate a very long due diligence period. And I said, I'll bring you more money after my due diligence period has expired. I got to test out the soil. I got to do things, right? Excuse me. So control this asset for $50,000. Came up with a concept to build a city, almost like a small city, right, of 367 units. Brought investors in, was able to raise $2 million on that property, on that vision that we created, right? Was able to raise $2 million on that property. Mind you, I only put in $50,000. So now I got people that are like, wow, how did you find this? This is gold. Okay, I want in. Raised $2 million to put this project together. Now, as we speak, currently, the property is worth $7.4 million. Okay? So we bought it for $3.4 million and it's worth $7.4 million. So we've created $3 million worth of value on this property. And I locked it up with $50,000. So if you talk about the power of $50,000, it doesn't even compare to that of stocks, right? But it's like, if you don't know that you can play real estate this way, you'll never do it.
If you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you would like to become an international property investor in Dubai or in the UK, the link to book a free consultation will be in the description box below. If you're not quite ready to invest yet, check out the affordable video courses that will also be linked in the description box below. And if you would like to relocate to Dubai, set up your business in Dubai, or anything else related to relocating to Dubai, check out www.theprofessionalnetwork.com. That's interesting. But before, we have to backtrack a little bit, because your ability to be able to even find investors to give you 2 million or however much you needed, that is something that you have to learn first. You have to they have to be able to trust you. You have to know how to attract other people's money, or OPM as they call it. So who were you that enabled you to be able to raise that money? And how did you get to that point?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like in life, people want investors, people want people to put money behind them, but there comes a point in time where we got to be accountable, and we got to say, are we even investable? It takes a certain individual to command certain respect, socially and financially. For me to support you with my finances, I got to have a tremendous amount of respect for you, or a tremendous amount of respect for your brain or your knowledge or for what you're working on. And that's where people kind of fail to, hit the nail on the head, where, they're missing that element. It's like, who are you that I should spend money with you? And then it goes back to just being, someone of integrity, right? Being someone that's, that stands for something, someone that believes in something. And, I'm a strong believer in how you present yourself is how you're going to be perceived, right? So just like a compilation of things, plus experience, plus, referrals and introductions and all these things, it kind of all morphs together to create a world where, people see you in a certain light and be like, okay, you know what? This guy's working on something cool. This guy's doing this. Let's look at this seriously, right? So for that specific example, the company that I was using to develop a different project, they happen to have a contact at a private equity firm that they deal with on a daily basis, not on a daily basis, but often. And then I brought up the project to them. Then they set up the meeting with the firm that they work with. And then all three of us went into business together.
So talk me through then, when you started as a real estate agent, how did you even transition into becoming a developer? Because I'm sure it's part of that. Because even just to know people in PE, that doesn't just happen to anyone.
For sure. And I mean, as a real estate agent, like, I always wanted to be a developer. So I always knew that, my real estate journey was just a rite of passage to where, where I actually wanted to go. And it just came with, actually believing that I could get there. An opportunity came from one of my mentors, and he's like, okay, you can partner up in this project, you can come learn, etc. And that's kind of how I got my first start. And, it comes with capital, right? But I went in stages. It didn't just happen overnight. Like, my first era, I spoke about this in investments. My first era was my agent era, where I did a ton of real estate. I did a ton of real estate work. I worked with celebrity clients, etc. Sold, luxury listings, etc. Then from there, my next era was like, okay, let me flip a bunch of properties. So then I went deep into that. So I still was being the realtor, but then I added on to now, let me buy a bunch of properties and flip it. So now I'm these two people, right? And then now that I got the opportunity to now intern and be a partner out of development, right? So now something has to give, something has to drop off. So now I'm like, okay, let me slow down on the real estate agent stuff, but let me add on the learning of development. So then I did that. And then while I was learning and then still doing the flipping stuff on the side, so then an opportunity came where I bought my first development project. And it was actually a church that I bought, funny enough. It was a church that I bought. And no one saw the value there, right? It was a church that was there for probably 80 years. It was on a corner. So what I saw was the ability for there to be multiple access points because it was situated on a corner, right? People saw just, a house of worship, a place of worship, but I saw that this could be, a pretty cool townhouse complex. So I bought the church, obviously I made sure it was okay with God,
So you took God's house and you turned it into a marketplace for money.
Well, even crazier, what happened was I took God's house, holy ground, right? And it was only right that, my first purchase was a church because I'm a very faith-oriented person. And, I took that property and I came up with a concept. I came up with a concept for 30 townhouses. And I got
30
it approved.
townhouses from one church?
Yeah.
Was it like a standalone huge church?
It was a big church, yeah. It was on just shy of an acre of land.
Okay.
All right, so these are 30 stacked townhouses. So a very high density model.
Okay.
And I came up with the concept, brought it to city council, got some pushback, et cetera. But I'm like, no, this can work. You know what I mean? So I fought for it. And then we got it approved. And then as soon as you get something like that approved, which is the beauty about development, right, is you can create value just from switching a land's purpose, switching land zoning, right? So it went from just being a church to now being a church that's allowed to be 30 townhouses. So now the value shot up.
Yeah.
And then I sold it. I sold it to another developer.
You didn't actually develop it.
Didn't even build it.
You just
sold
did the
it.
planning and then...
Bought it for $900K, sold it, flipped it for $1.5 million. And that was just me getting my feet wet. That was my first big development deal.
Okay, so you bought it for $900K. Where did that $900K come from?
Well, the $900K was the list price. So I came up out of cash. I put up $400,000 of cash, closed on that $900,000 purchase.
Right.
Right, and that $400,000 cash, that was just cash from other real estate flips and other deals. And, back then when I was selling luxury real estate, I sold a couple $5 million properties. The commission there is $100 and so grand, you know what I mean? So then, flipping off plan, it gets built, sell it, make $100 grand, $200 grand, and I just kept doing that. I
want to jump into that. So one, did you start off, or how early did you switch into doing luxury real estate sales? Because there's one thing, Alex Hormozy, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's interesting when you start at selling premium properties, for example, is that naturally, obviously your commission, even if it takes you longer to sell one, for example, than it might if you're doing just, I don't know, what you call standard homes, that one commission that you can make can really, really change things. Was that a strategy for you to actually, let me start with luxury real estate sales so that whatever my upside is much greater? Or did you start with just, regular real estate deals and then work your way up to luxury? And why?
That's a good question. So, no, I didn't start with luxury sales. That's just an area of real estate that I obsessed over, I fantasize about, right? Because you see all these shows and stuff, it just looks so cool. They pull up in their, in the Porsche and the Benz, and you're just like, holy, this is amazing.
One?
Sorry?
Would you do one?
One of those shows?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe not at this stage of my life. Right now, I'd want to have a show that's tailored to what I'm actually doing, which is development. And I think it'll come. I've got offers of people hey, you should be in this, but nothing's ever really materialized, right? But I'm open to it. So if anybody, as a producer, I'm open to it. Okay. But, so no, I didn't start with luxury sales. I started with what our people consume. And our people consume is investment opportunities, right? Investment properties. And that's where my bread and butter was. And that's where I shined, because not only was I, giving our community the opportunity to purchase and get into real estate investment opportunities, I was a participant myself. And that's where I saw the most upside, right? So I tell any agent, you can't be a successful agent if you're not investing yourself, right? I can't trust you to help me with an investment purchase if you're not an investor. You know what I mean? It's just there's a little bit of a disconnect. And so I just became addicted to buying my own stuff. We'd go to builders or the builders or the developers, and we'd say, okay, give us 20 units in this building at this price with this payment structure, with this payment plan. And then they'd be like, okay, cool, whatever, sure. And then a lot of us would handpick their own their own units. Like, oh, I want this corner one, I want this corner one. And then we'd be left with a few to give to our clients, right? But that was like the ethos or the mentality of the company that I was at. It was like, okay, let's make sure we get ours first before we start giving it out, right? So that's what the real estate that I came upon. Because at the end of the day, like the way society is, like the people that would work with me, 9 times out of 10, they look like me, right? So it's like, okay, I got to kind of meet people where they're at, right? If you're at a point where, you know, you're a bit scarred from real estate or you don't really know too much, okay, now let me give you some knowledge. Let me educate you on why this investment makes sense. And then you spend your 200, 300K and buy a property, not of capital, but you buy a property worth 200, 300K back then as an investment property. And you'll see really good upsides. So that's how I got into industry, selling pre-construction condos and pre-construction opportunities. And then how I got into luxury was I got an opportunity from a friend of mine who was an NBA player, and his name's Corey Joseph, and he gave me my first listing of luxury. And that was, you know, a $5.5 million listing. And then from there, I used that sale to leverage to get, you know, other people interested and other people as clients within the community that house was in. And that's kind of how it goes. It's like, you know, once they see your presence in a certain area, then you can run with that momentum and then capitalize on that presence there and, you know, acquire more business and meet new individuals and kind of keep rolling.
This off-plan stuff is so interesting because it's not as big where I'm from, London initially.
So everything's so old in London.
Yeah. It's, I mean, they are doing some like regeneration projects, but it's not as prominent of a strategy in London as it is in Dubai. In Dubai, off-plan investing is, I think, like 60% of the market is off-plan because, like you're saying, as Canada was when you were growing up, that's Dubai now, right? A lot of it is developing. So is it the same whereby you buy it off-plan, you're buying it at a relatively discounted rate, and then when it's ready, you've already have that equity built in and then you sell? Or what was I know you was mentioning that you were buying off-plan stuff, moving into it and then selling it. How does the finance work? How do the numbers work in those scenarios?
So the difference with like Dubai and where I was doing it was Dubai, you don't really have the opportunity to leverage credit, right? So Dubai, you're buying with a lot of capital.
Yes.
Whereas when I was doing it in Canada, there wasn't a lot of capital required, right? Because you have credit, you have mortgages, you have banks. And so I was getting in with, back then, you know, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to secure a property, secure an asset that was $200,000, $300,000. And that became just a strategy that, you know, I kept doing. And, you know, what's different is now the developers will now try to sell you something on a price that's factoring in potential profit, sorry. And back then, it wasn't like that. Back then, it was more seen as like a risk. So I'm going to give you a discount because you're taking a bit of a risk on this project, right? Now it's like, no, for sure we're building this. This is what's going to happen. The market's on fire. This is going to be the price. They're already charging you future value. Yeah. You know, so I've seen that change, and I still see people adopt it, thinking that, okay, even though they're charging me future value, that there's still this potential increase, but it sometimes doesn't work that way. And
so, you know, in the way that you saw that opportunity in your time, what is the current day opportunity
now?
Yeah,
for like the equivalent. So yeah, so what I was gonna say too was that, you know, they're charging future value for that project or that property, but what purchasers should always do is go cross-reference what's already on the existing market to see the difference in prices. So if you can just see in plain sight, okay, they're charging $450 for this 2-bedroom condo that's 700 square feet. What's a 2-bedroom condo that's 700 square feet going for right now? Right? Okay, it's going for $420 or it's going for $390. Okay, then obviously it doesn't make sense. Why would I go pay more for something that's arguably of the same value, right? So that's another way that people can sort of, you know, verify. But your question originally was,
what are the current opportunities?
So the current opportunities, is why I personally think development is the best vehicle, right? It obviously takes capital, right? I'm not saying you can go do this and make all this money without money. And it takes money to make money. That's just the reality of life, right? But what's beautiful about development is you get to create value at every stage. So like I was saying, you get the plans, you get things approved, you get things moving along, and that creates value. Like every step, it just creates value. And then it gets to a point where it's built, and then it has a value when it's built. And then from there, then the margins get smaller, right? So I gave this demonstration at InvestFest, and the margins after something is built, once we're already in something, they're limited, right? It's only it's subject to what the market will give it.
Yeah.
But when you're building something, you're putting value into it, right? You're making margins on every single thing, right? You put foundation in there. Foundation may cost you $20,000, but now foundation's worth $30,000. You get framing, you probably paid $40,000. Framing's worth $70,000. So you're building your margins throughout the process, right? And all that stuff gets aggregated, and then at the end, it all comes out, right? So in my opinion, the best opportunity is in development. Right now, there's still obvious opportunities in multifamily for people that kind of want to just kind of get their foot in the door. With multifamily, where you can occupy one unit and rent out the other units, and then maybe live positive cash flowing, or you're living, breaking even, not even spending any money on living expenses. So that's always a good strategy too for people to get in. But no matter where people are listening from, in every single country, there are government programs to get people in the door of ownership at a nominal amount of down payment. And another thing people have to understand is you don't necessarily buy where you want to live. You buy where you can afford. It may not be in, central London, but it might be in Chelsea or Tottenham or...
Don't say Chelsea.
Or, or in South London.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the ends over there or something. Like, you never know where it is, but the point is you buy where you can afford, right? And you just got to get your foot in the door. Every single country has programs for people getting into the door. Development, maybe not so much, but getting into the door is just how you start. And it's just about starting. This race is a beautiful race. It's an abundant race. It's a fruitful race. But a lot of people just don't run. A lot of people don't run, right? And it's like, why? If you have your shoes, if you have your gear, why wouldn't you run? Like, everything is there for you in life. Like, why wouldn't you go and run after? Why wouldn't you go get it?
I want to read you this quote that you said. Everyone's chasing money, but few are preparing to receive it. What does that mean, and what does that look like?
Yeah. I feel like, how do I break this down? So I feel like wealth is not by accident, right? God doesn't just spend, grace and favor like recklessly. He doesn't bless people recklessly. It's almost like he blesses the individual that he believes has a capacity for it, right? And the capacity comes in many shapes and forms. It's, your integrity. Who are you when no one's looking, right? That's so important. Are you an honest person? Are you a kind person? Because money only amplifies who you already were, right? So if you're an evil person, you're just gonna become more evil. If you're a kind person, you're gonna become more kind, right? And another thing that I say is money is a language. It's a frequency. So it's like you trying to learn Spanish. You'd have to immerse yourself in Spanish. If you're trying to learn the game of wealth creation and finances, you got to immerse yourself in it. Like, that's got to be the content you take in, like you would be watching Netflix in Spanish, right? That's got to be the content you consume. That's got to be the conversations you have amongst your peers. That's the circle you got to be around, because your environment's going to define you, right? That's going to be like the center, the core of your being when it comes to people. And, a lot of people just don't have that around them, or a lot of people aren't, prepared for what that looks like. It's like, it comes with a lot of like analyzing internally, like, who am I? Why should I have money? Like, why should God bless me? Right? For me personally, I speak from experience, like I don't drink, I don't smoke, And these are, I do this for certain reasons where it's like, one, it doesn't make sense. Like they're just bad deals overall. And two, it's like, I'm just showing God I'm a fairly responsible person. So continue to bless me because I'm not going to be stupid with the fruits that you help me, to grab or to manifest. It's like the individual has to be worth blessing. How you carry, like all those things matter. You know what I mean? There's this book called Psycho-Cybernetics, right?
Okay.
I never finished it, so I'm not like a crazy avid reader, but I take in knowledge in a lot of different forms, especially audio form. And I finished like half of it. But one key thing from that book was that the greatest successor of success is success. Then it goes on to say that they did a study. There's a study done at like UPitt or something like that, like one of these, pretty well-established schools. And they studied the brain activity between people that have come from money and how they saw money when they spoke about money, and then people that don't come from money, but constantly imagined the life of money, right? And there was no difference in brain patterns. So it's like, they went on to say, like, if you're someone that can visualize and imagine on the level of someone that lived that life of success, that success is yours to have.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So we are going to be moving on to the Wealth Voice segment of the podcast. And this is basically where one of the listeners sends in a dilemma and you just give your advice, what you think, maybe what you would do.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to read. This person says, I bought my first property last year and I'm currently saving again for the second one. However, it took me 3 years to save up for the first one. I do not want to take another 3 years for the second one. As a single mom, what are some investment strategies to buy more properties with less money?
That's a good question. I think that's one of the things that people struggle with the most is how to scale your portfolio. If this person is in the US, which I hope or I assume, what's unique about the US market is they have programs that allow people to get into the market with a little down payment, right? So there's this program called the FHA loan, and the FHA loan allows purchasers to purchase properties, primary residence properties, with as little as 3.5% down, right? So if you're buying a $200,000 house, that's going to cost you about $7,000 down payment, right? But the beauty about real estate, and I'm glad she asked this question, is she already has the first property. So that's the hardest part, getting that first property. That first property is what's going to open the gateways for those additional properties, because now you can leverage that asset. So if she bought right, which I hope she did, right? We would buy property sometimes and, it may not go up in value. But if she has equity and it has gone up in value, then she should refinance that property or do an equity takeout, HELOC, and she could utilize that equity to now acquire additional properties. And then you keep going. It's a game of Monopoly, right? Maybe she doesn't get a lot of money out. Maybe she gets a tiny bit of money out, but whatever she gets out, there are properties, there are opportunities for her to get into the market, depending on what part of the world that she's in. But the first part was the hardest. She got a property, and that property it's almost blasphemous to not leverage that property for additional properties in whatever capacity. Line of credits, refis, she has to do that.
Even if your first one is a residential, because I feel like if you're an investor and you buy your first one as an investment, you're more likely, if you're buying it as an investment, your primary aim is to leave as little in it as possible, right? But I think sometimes when people buy their first one as their residential, they are more like, they don't want to refinance because they don't want their mortgage to go up. Like in their mind, it's like, I should actually be trying to pay this down. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when couples are arguing, like men and women, there was and the girl stance is always like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Same thing applies here. It's
Why does that have to be the girl stance?
Because usually girls say that. and it applies here because it's like, you want to invest in real estate. You have an asset to leverage to invest more, but you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense, right? So you have something there that's to be utilized that can help you. You have to use it. Like I never I've bought a ton of properties in my life, right? And even when I lived in them, I did this a lot. I'd buy a property. Where I'm from, we do this thing called pre-construction, right? So you're buying something off an idea, off plan. Exactly. What you guys call off plan. And so this is what I came up on. I was doing this like crazy. And when I buy a property, I'll live in it. I'll live in it for a year. Therefore, I'm not subject to capital gains. I'd sell it, make money, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. So I'd have all these off plans that are staggered in completion, right? And I just keep bouncing from property to property. And it's funny because I had to do that. I had to leverage other properties to go and close other properties. I just kept doing it. So I never treated the place I slept as like, oh, this is my house, this is my primary residence. No, that is a tool. That is a tool that has to be used. And like I said, it's blasphemous if it's not used. I think we got to change our mentalities on, this whole, okay, that's my primary residence, that's my matrimonial home. Like, I don't want to disrupt certain things. No, something's got to give. Like, people say they want success and they want, all these things that life can offer, but it comes at a price. It comes at some sort of price. It comes at maybe the discomfort of my mortgage has gone up a little bit and now I got to cut back on outings or whatever sacrifices that have to be made. But it's like, it's for a season. It's not forever. You do certain things for a season, a point in time.
True.
To know that eventually things are going to change.
I agree. That's good. That's good. I have nothing more to add to that.
Okay.
I want to move on to the quick fire money question. So this is 3 questions and just tell me what comes to mind and then we'll chit chat about it. So the first one is, what is the best investment you've ever made?
Well, the best investment I made is probably that $50,000 I put down on that 11-acre parcel to build that 367 unit community. I think there's not many places you could, put $50,000 to control a 7-figure asset and then, have equity in a project that's going to be worth, probably upwards of $100 million when it's all said and done. I'm not saying today I made that, but it's going to get there, right?
Oh, it's still ongoing?
Yeah, it's still ongoing. And
what month are we into the 18 months?
Oh, we're past that point.
Okay,
we're into the development side of things, right? We're starting it phase by phase by phase.
How do you feel?
How do I feel?
Yeah, how does it make you feel?
I feel good. I feel like it's more validation, right? Validation to yourself, right? It's like you have these things that you believe about yourself, right? And, being able to see, certain things that God has blessed you with begin to manifest and begin to become tangible is a beautiful thing to witness. And, I'm humbled. I'm blessed. I feel like, going back to what I was saying earlier, like this is just about me just being that person, that level-headed person that I believe God sees and says, like this guy can handle it, right? In his lows, he doesn't get too low. In his highs, he doesn't get too high. Like he just remains even keel. Like, that humility is always there.
I love that. Why did you bring development into Atlanta, by the ways?
Man, once again, by God's grace, the Atlanta market just kind of opened up, right? So I'd come to Atlanta for the first time for InvestFest 2023. And I kind of just fell in love with the city. I'm like, okay, this is dope. Like, seeing people, of our color do things at a very high level. I haven't seen anything like this before, right? And it was just eye-opening to me. And then through the connection with Earn Your Leisure and, all these other entrepreneurs, I was able to get plugged in and tapped into people that were doing things all at a very high level within the city. So I didn't really have to climb up, let's say, a social ladder. I was kind of like placed there, and it was just divine. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fight with the fate. Maybe this wasn't on my radar, just fine. But, that's how God works, right? Sometimes it doesn't make sense until, years down the road, you're like, oh shit, that's why you brought me here. Because I avoided this pitfall here and I avoided, this premature elevation here, et cetera. So I'm just kind of just falling within, that path that seems to just kind of get carved for me out here.
And what developments are you doing here?
So right now I'm building a community of 4 estate lots, 4 luxury estate lots that are going to be retailing from $2 to $3 million. And then...
So I don't know what estate lot is.
Estate, like mansions.
Estates.
Yeah, estate.
Ooh.
Oh, because you guys call estates like the ends. You guys, that's what you call estates, like Summer Hills and estate.
Yeah.
Like Summer Hills estate, what are like Church Road, like those are estates.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
The estate is not luxury.
Yeah. Estates like housing.
It's like government housing.
Yeah. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean here.
Well, a council estate. But anyways,
Okay.
no. But so you're like luxury.
Mansion estates, luxury elegant estates.
Okay.
I hope I communicated that well to the people in the UK. Luxury estates. Yeah.
Second question is, what is the biggest money
there's more
mistake?
stuff I'm building here. You like?
Oh, okay. Carry
just
on.
One project. That's a one-trick pony.
Oh, okay.
And then there's another project that we're doing. It's a 14-acre project. We're building 14 lots as well there. Because Atlanta, everybody likes size. Everybody likes these big yards. There's no shortage of land here, right? So you got to give people size. Building 14 lots there, that's probably like a $10 million project. The other one's going to be a bit smaller, about $3-4 million. That's what I'm doing here so far.
And what's your role in this? Are you
a
fundraising?
developer,
Are you architecting?
A developer wears many hats, right? So the way I like to think about it is a developer will develop the idea and the concept and the crew to bring this idea to fruition, right? So I'll pull in funding, I'll pull in architects, I'll pull in planners, I'll pull in general contractors and then the subs, and I'll develop this team and this machine that ends up developing this property.
But you're new here, so how are you going about creating those connections with some of the stuff you're getting from InvestFest?
Exactly.
Okay.
Power of relationships, power of networking. Like people sleep on it, and it's a real thing. And I've seen, how these things can really change your trajectory or add to your trajectory, right? Even giving you a boost in certain areas you may not even know you were weak in, right? I think people underestimate the power of networking. People underestimate the power of relationships, but relationships are literally the difference between like an open door and a closed door.
Facts. Now, what is the biggest money mistake you've made?
Oh, man. A lot of them, man.
Oh.
How much time do we got? I'm just joking. The biggest money mistake I made, probably I was keeping in the same realm of like real estate, et cetera. Like,
no, and then give us a non-real estate one too.
Okay. In the real estate realm, in 2023, I refinanced a bunch of properties to start, buying, some land and doing some other projects. But then I found myself, because I had slowed down on the real estate agent side of things, I was living off this refinanced money, and the problem with that is like, it's almost like dipping into your stash, right? It's like when that's what I like about real estate, right? For those people that are not as, what would the word be? They're not as disciplined. There we go. The people that are not as disciplined, this is why I like real estate, because the money is there. It's there indeed, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get out, right?
True.
With stocks, you click a couple buttons and it's like, I need to go pay for this. I need to take a trip. Boom. So it's like people say all these things about building the stock portfolio, et cetera, but the fact that your money is there and it's accessible, sometimes that's to your detriment, because now you go touch it, because I do that. And I know I'm not the only person that does that, right? So now with real estate, when the money's stuck and you can't really get it and you got to go through applications, et cetera, you're like, okay, fuck it. They'll be like,
just be
forget
yourself.
it. They'll be like, forget it. I'll figure out other ways to get the money, right? And I'll leave my property alone, right? But then when I started touching it and grabbing it and using it to do things, I'd be left with money on me. And I'm like, okay, let me buy this. Okay, let me buy this. Let me do this. Okay, let me get a new car. And I just started spending, and then you realize, oh my God, I just dipped $300,000-400K into my money that was locked up, right? And that was my mistake. I spent, a lot of money foolishly just on things, just life, travel. I travel a lot, and I like to fly well and I like to sleep well. Like, I'm not just gonna sleep anywhere, right? So these things start adding up, right? You do this in London, oh my God. Or as you guys say, oh my days. If you do this in London, oh my days, you're cooked, right? Like, because everything is double my currency.
Yeah.
Right, so you go stay at, the Edition in London, like, it's gonna cost you. You go stay at Four Seasons London, it's gonna cost you. You go stay at, the Four Seasons in, where else did I stay? In Morocco, like things like that, it costs, right? And
So lifestyle inflation, basically.
Yeah, because that's another thing, right? Like we make money, but how do you stop your desires from increasing as you make more money? That is a skill. And I'm not sitting here pretending like I'm perfect because I still struggle with that, right? Okay, I'm gonna make money. Okay, then let me buy another watch. Let me take another trip. Let me do this. You know what I mean? Like it just happens, you know, but it takes a real disciplined person to be like, you know what? Like I'm not gonna change anything. You know, just because I'm making more money and I'm not gonna change anything because I don't have anything to prove, right? Not that I'm saying I did, but I'm just saying it takes a very disciplined person to not want things, right? I grew up in a world where I lacked for so long that it feels good to buy these things, right? It feels good to have things, you know, not for anybody's validation, but for your own. It's like, yo, these are feel good purchases, right? And I found myself, you know, spending a lot of money on things that probably in hindsight I wouldn't have done. And the discipline is very important, and kudos to those that have it. So I don't have it. I'm getting better, but I don't have it quite yet.
That's good though. I like that. And I like the honesty.
Yeah.
And then the final one is, what is one piece of advice you'd give to someone who is trying to build wealth?
Trying to build wealth. I think to build wealth, first and foremost, like I was saying earlier, you gotta be, like your mentality has to be ready for wealth. And I don't think wealth is something that comes overnight. I think wealth is built. Wealth is not necessarily a destination, but it's almost like a phase in life, a period in life where it's like, okay, you got to this stage where now you're living this life, you're living this life of wealth and abundance, right? I think you can get rich quick, right? You can get rich quick, you get rich by accident, but you can't get wealthy by accident. You can't get wealthy quick. I think that's a slow grind, right? That comes with, you know, finding your core competency, what you really do well, what you're so passionate about that it's going to keep you up at night when, you know, the world has shut down, or you're so passionate about when you're in the shower, that's what you're thinking about, you know, and you're so passionate about you're driving and like you're not even listening to the music, all you're doing is thinking about that thing, you know, when you ride that thing and then now attach ancillary things to that thing, then you start getting into a mold where you get into, where you get the ability to possibly create wealth. Not everybody's going to create wealth, and that's just a sad reality.
Ooh.
You know, everybody watching this may not ever have wealth.
Why? You
know, because like I'm saying, it's a mindset, right? And it requires so much discipline, right? Like if I may be honest or frank again, if I was a bit more disciplined in how I spent money, I'd probably be, I wouldn't say 10 times further. No, I'd probably be maybe a couple million further. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it would be leaps and bounds ahead, but just a little bit, you know? And I feel like it requires discipline. It requires real hard work. It requires timing. It requires faith. It's like a jambalaya or like a seafood boil. Like it's so many things that are important for it. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of people just are not ready to do what it takes to have that, right? Like, are you not going to go out? Are you not going to do this? Are you not going to party? You're not going to drink? Are you not going to stay up and write, you know, a business plan over and over again when your friend wants to go here? Are you not going to take that trip? Are you going to take that? Like, there's so many things that play into it, right?
True.
And life is a compilation of our decisions. Like every day, it's like, okay, did I decide to do that? Or did I decide to do this thing? Did I decide to go to the gym? Did I not decide to go to the gym? Like there's so many things that life just becomes a compilation of all these decisions, whether good or bad. And I just don't think people are willing to do all that.
What does on an average day, I'm sure it differs day to day, but what does your average day look like?
That's a good question. It depends. Like I have a daughter. I'm blessed to have a daughter. So I have her half the week. So those days, my work day initially is like kind of shortened. But on an average day, like I get up, you know, around 7. I don't eat breakfast. I'll go right to my laptop. I'll pray, whatever, get ready, brush my teeth, go to my laptop. And then I'll see what I have to do on the schedule for the day. I usually have meetings at 9 a.m., whether they be, you know, on a startup that I'm working on called Cribbo. It's
okay.
rental.
What's this?
So it's a rental. It's a tenant verification.
Okay.
It's a tenant verification platform to screen tenants and to provide landlords with like the ultimate security when choosing tenants
For Canada?
for Canada, and we're getting into the US as well.
Okay.
So I have meetings about that a lot. My projects, dealing with project managers. Okay, this is where we stand. This is where we are. This is what's missing. Okay, we need to make this call. We need to make this connection to this person. That takes up a lot of time too. Because like I'm saying, a developer, you're developing a crew, you're developing an idea. So there's a lot of stakeholders and contributors to that plan and idea. And so touching base with them, right? So I spend a lot of my time on like Zoom calls and Zoom meetings. And then stuff in Canada I have, either I'm going to go to site physically, check on things, and then come back home. So every day looks really different. Organization is something that I do struggle with, right? So that's one thing that I do struggle with. It's like, okay, what's my day look like every single day? So for my first 3-4 hours, they may be consistent throughout the week, but then, the latter half of the day is sometimes gets shuffled between this. Okay, my daughter has to go here, all this, you know what I mean? And then I kind of just make do with, what the day kind of gives me.
Oh,
I'm not going to say here like, oh, I meditate at 7 p.m. and from 7 to 8. No, like I live a life. I live a regular life, right? And I do things and I work out. I play golf. I do things. I live my life, right? My life is to be lived and enjoyed. So I live and, I work hard as well. Like I'm not someone that consumes like TV and like all this nonsense and stuff like that. I don't do that.
Do you watch Love Island?
No, I've never seen Love Island a day in my life. This is not a good use of my time. Like time is such a finite resource. Like I can't waste it giving it to someone that's entertaining people. And they're making money from entertaining people, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just remaining stagnant, if not becoming more dull from watching it, right? So yeah, that's just not something I would spend my time doing. Like fun for me is like looking at projects, looking at opportunities, like dissecting. Oh my God, this came across my desk. Oh my God, okay, let's process this. Okay, this is how much this can make. Boom, let me call and see who I can get excited with. Hey, this just came across my desk. What do you think about this? Like that is fun to me. Like discovering gold, like that moment where I found that site, that 11-acre site. Like that's a fun moment. That's a fun experience for me, and I get joy out of that. And then I get joy out of playing with my daughter and doing this and going to the park. Like those things I enjoy. I don't need like TV and shit to like.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's not where I find enjoyment. And I might, log on to YouTube and bump some Grime Daily every now and then.
What?
You don't know Grime Daily?
Grime Daily?
Grime. GRM Daily.
I don't listen to that.
So you don't know about UK rap?
I do.
You don't listen to UK rap if it's not Dave or Sench.
Who? Dave? I know Dave.
So you don't even know that line I just said.
I thought you said if it's not Dave or Sen.
But you don't know where that's from?
No.
Wow.
I don't listen to rap music.
That's crazy. Good for you. You're under a rock. Like that's a big line in the UK. Go to someone and say, she don't listen to UK rap if it's not Dave or Sench.
I've heard that before.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it went right over your head.
Okay. But
that's all good.
Mine is correct. No, actually, I don't listen to those two either.
Do you listen to Skepta?
No, I don't listen to rap.
At all?
No.
You listen to Snow Allegra and Summer Walker? Okay. Like Shelly Pop and, is that his name? Shelly Pop?
Shelly Poppy?
Shelly Poppy, Asake.
Ashake.
See, I don't know their names, but who else? Burna. Burna's in your top 5?
Yeah. I like.
Are you a Burna or
Buju?
the Buju Banton?
No.
Oh. Okay. I'm old, so Buju Banton was like, he's a reggae artist, so that's like my era, I guess.
That's not Afrobeat.
I know, but the name. Who else
Ruger?
Ruger's sick. Ruger's tough.
Yeah, I like him.
I actually caught him in concert in Phoenix. I was like, randomly, I was in Phoenix at the same time. I was like, yeah. And then, what's his catchphrase? Like, cook that thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like him.
He actually said it in concert. I'm like, yo, this is sick.
This is sick, bro.
Yes. Not you mocking me now. That's crazy.
Canadians and the way they talk. But anyways, we're not going to get into that. You are amazing, David. And I love when people can deliver information, but in a fun and digestible way. So you're great. Well, if the people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, on IG, my IG handle is Twii Estate. So TWII Estate, ESTATE. My company's website is estatehill.ca. I actually have an academy where I teach people about real estate development.
Oh, yeah.
The website is theestateacademy.com. And yeah, I mean, I'm blessed to be here. I'm honored to be here. I'm flattered. Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful platform that you built once again. And I hope people learn something, right? I feel like we might need a part 2 because there's so much that I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah?
Because this industry is so lucrative and it's so juicy that there's so much to extract from it, right?
Come to London, come to Dubai.
I'll come to the ends,
go again.
man.
Not in the... Actually, it's in the ends.
It's in the ends, yeah. That's where your studio is.
You know Tottenham.
Of course.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah,
if you want to...
I got some mates in Tottenham, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Is it?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. You are something else.